James Joyce described Parnell as another Moses, who led a turbulent and unstable people from the house of shame to the verge of the promised land. But verges can be dangerous places. The British establishment and its spies, once again in league with the Catholic Church, conspired to bring down Parnell. Joyce's essay, The Shade of Parnell, written for an Italian paper in 1912, is intellectually sharper than the work of most historians. The influence exerted on the Irish people by Parnell defies critical analysis, wrote Joyce. He had a speech defect and a delicate physique. He was ignorant of the history of his native land. His short and fragmentary speeches lacked eloquence, poetry, and humor. His cold and formal bearing separated him from his own colleagues. He was a Protestant, a descendant of an aristocratic family, and as a crowning disgrace, he spoke with a distinct English accent. The applause and anger of the crowd, the abuse and praise of the press, the denunciations and defense of the British ministers never disturbed the melancholy serenity of his character. The British state, angered by Parnell's arrogance, his unbreachable integrity, and his success in Parliament, tried to discredit him, embroiling him in a murder case with a forged letter which was made public. A royal commission set up to investigate the charges found him innocent. The forger, by the name of Pigot, committed suicide in Madrid. Joyce describes how, when Parnell entered the parliamentary chamber after all this, the House of Commons, without regard to party, greeted Parnell's entrance with an ovation that remains without precedent in the annals of the British Parliament. Joyce asks, is it necessary to say that Parnell made no response to the ovation with a smile or a bow or a gesture, but merely passed to his place beyond the aisle and sat down? Gladstone was probably thinking of this incident when he called the Irish leader an intellectual phenomenon. Joyce is scathing of Gladstone and his liberals. They were self-seeking politicians. When he got his chance, Gladstone would accept nothing less than a crucifixion of Parnell. Parnell had fallen in love with a married woman, and her husband insisted on a divorce. Many said the man was bribed into it by the then equivalent of the security services. Gladstone refused to negotiate with a sinner. The Catholic bishops, frightened of being seen as more liberal than a British Protestant, threw their support behind the vilification and called on the Irish parliamentarians to get rid of him. Parnell refused to resign, but his fate was sealed. The Irish MPs capitulated. The dual pressure of the British Empire and the Catholic Church proved too much for them. 26 voted for retaining him as leader, 44 against. Joyce provided his own epitaph for the fallen prince. In his final desperate appeal to his countrymen, he begged them not to throw him as a sop to the English wolves howling around them. It redounds to their honor that they did not fail this appeal. They did not throw him to the English wolves. They tore him to pieces themselves. In The Dubliners, a young Joyce, he was 9 when Parnell died, age 45, recalls hearing his father and friends speak of the dead leader with love and reverence. In Joyce's portrait of the artist, Stephen D. recalls from his childhood a bitter row over dinner between a Parnell loyalist and a church loyalist, culminating in the cry, "No God for Ireland." Ireland never produced another Parnell.